in between you can prepare for a sound impact, right? It will work out. It's very strange.
So,
it's fine.
So thank you first for, of course, okay, I will start with this one first, but I think we have to remove this one too. Is this one for the removing the hardware?
And what we always do is we have some Pecha presentations, have the panel discussions, and then afterwards you also have time to stand up and ask questions to the panelists, because it's not on us to tell you what we should do, right? We just give an introduction and hope to inspire you to come up with your own ideas. So let's be very open to each other, and therefore maybe you can listen first, and then hopefully you have a question to raise. And now Frankie is also here. Very good.
That's good.
So, okay.
So I start now.
Robertina's work, right?
Yeah. So on the beginning I will speak a bit, then I hope we will be able also to listen to some sounds, because actually my project, which is involved into the Universal Sea research, is mostly sound-based. It's a project which is dealing with underwater noise pollution, which is one of the invisible pollutants, which is also very present, because yes, the plastics is kind of there, and I hope that somehow people get it, that we are kind of reaching the levels that it will be really hard to find best solutions. But that's why this kind of projects, which is like Universal Sea Research, Pure Plastic, is kind of excellent, especially to bring these topics out to the wider publics and explain it also through different points of view, which is not only arts, but also innovation, science, scientific thought, and so on, which I think is very important to combine all of them. In my practice, I'm mostly art science-based artist, which I'm working a lot with underwater situations. And what I came across is like when I started to, because I spent lots of my time by these different shores and seas all around the world. And you know, like there is always this kind of romantic idea, you know, because what we like to do as humans, I think, is like romanticize the environment and the idea of the nature. And the idea of walking by the beach and listening to birds and sea is something else than when you start to kind of go deeper in and you start to listen to it also. There's big discrepancy, I would say, in our way how we understand that and how we approaching this kind of stuff. So what it was also very shocking for me, it was, you know, when I realized that also I was having this naive idea of like that in the waters we can listen to these beautiful sounds of the nature, which starts to be very noisy after some while, but not because of the animals and marine life which is living there, but because of the human intervention and mostly our technological kind of impact. The slide which is now here is something which I like to explain always. It's like humans, we are visual animals, I say. We like to rely on our visual sense. You know, this is one of our main sensors, you know, in the oceans and seas and also in the rivers and lakes. The levels where the light is penetrating into the waters, it's only till kind of 200 meters. Then it starts the twilight, and then after 1,000 meters starts to be deep, dark place, you know. So in this deep darkness, you need other sensors than visual sensors to orient. and the sound is one of the main orientation sensors, and that's why the importance of understanding that also polluting with our presence, with our technological stuff, it's also bad to the seas and oceans. So through that, this is kind of like short intro into the topic which my project is dealing about. Is called Aquatocene. It's kind of playing with the words of Anthropocene, where it's kind of philosophical and thought about that the humans, we are overtaking all the possible environments in our planet so much that our anthropopresence is the one which is like omnipresent all over. And that's why I also said, okay, so if this is happening in the terraforming kind of context, then I started to speak more about this aquaforming, and aquaforming in the sense of like we are changing the oceans with the plastics, with the microplastics, which will be also talked today a lot, I think, during the second and third part. Also the chemical pollutants, and also with, of course, sound, and also some other sensors which maybe we are not even aware of, that animals are able to perceive that. So with the project, I started actually already in 2016, and it's an ongoing project which I hope I will be still working on also later on after the Universal Sea Research, and I was really glad and happy to be selected into this, because through this you can always have possibility to outreach to other publics, which I was sometimes also not aware of them also, because sometimes we are in our little bubbles and we forget to see outside of that, which is like a thing happening to all of us. So with the workshops, we are building also these kind of devices, because hydrophones, it's underwater microphones which we are using on these kind of trips when we go around to record stuff. It's also nice to share, and also inside of this Universal Sea Research, I did also a few workshops all around. One of these photos is from Dubrovnik, from Island Lokrum. And this is one of the most touristically attractive places in Adriatic Sea. It's super crowded, there's lots of cruisers, so you can imagine the sound was just like pure noise and nothing else. So with what I do is I collect sounds and I'm mixing the bioacoustics, the acoustics of the sea. When I speak about bioacoustic, I speak about sounds and songs, which they are animals referring to each other. And when I say songs, it is also, they do communicate a lot. And it's not only whales and bigger animals, but also fish, crustaceans, so on. So everybody is using that. So I publish vinyls. I will do also tonight one performance at Hybridart space. And what I like to do by this kind of performances, and I try always to also ask organizers, as I was also asking Kata, is that to organize local marine biologists or somebody who is dealing with this kind of topics to speak, to have the performance. So we are listening to it, but then also it's this kind of sound that it has to be contextualized. So what I like to do is to speak with the scientists which they are dealing with this topic to kind of work further into that also, to have this kind of other perspectives. So just for the end of my Pecha presentation, I like to show this, because this is sometimes how blindly we can be when looking for the solutions, I would also say. As we as humans, when we are going to the sea and ocean, we always have to have lots of equipment with us to be able even to be inside, You can't just go to dive, because after 10 minutes you will have lots of problems, especially if you go very deep down, because our bodies are not adapted to that. And what we like to do and what we like to project is like mirroring to the fish, Okay, so we will give them like little safety, but this is not helping. This is very, this is this kind of, like when you read the articles and about, we found the bacteria will eat the plastic. Yes, this is like on the short term, okay, that one of the solutions can be that, but what does it mean this on the long term, and what we will do with bacteria later on when we'll eat all the plastics and so on. So I think it's very important to have this in mind. And as Nicole and also everybody else today was already showing these different initiatives, which I also like, is like I'm also following different initiatives, mostly which they're working on this kind of to bring silence, but you know, like silence away from us human presence into the oceans. And I like to quote Pasquale Quirinart, who is saying that it turns out that our ears that don't have the eyelids, you know, this means we are able to do this, but you know, most of the animals in the ocean sea are not able to do that. So it's also the responsibility of the bringing empathy, solidarity, and all this kind of terminology, which sounds very topic, but I think it's kind of helping us. So that's my short presentation.
Thanks a lot, Robertina.
I prepared also a bit of sound, but I'm not so sure we will be able to play it a bit.
Otherwise, everyone has to come to your performance tonight,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Okay, let's do it like that.
Okay, so I would say maybe you can switch so
Yes,
that Frankie
so
can,
you can
go
come
over
here.
and also have a little
Mhm.
intro.
No?
I emailed you.
You have it on the...
Okay. Somewhere here.
I did. I just sent her like